Yo, welcome to another episode of Under the Surface, a talk show where we talk all things Bazaar. As you probably already know, there is a new patch in the game. In this episode, we are talking about our impression regarding the changes, and we also propose a couple of improvements for the game. Fortunately, one or two things discussed in this episode are already removed. There is a link in the description to the full patch notes, but for now, let's dive under the surface. So we have been graced by a new patch that was put out on the 3rd of December. Well, in my opinion, it has changed the game upside down. What is your one sentence summary of the new patch?
My one sentence summary is maybe one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. So the main offenders are, I think, pufferfish and poison in general, and the monster loot on level up. I think that's two main reasons that the meta has been warped these past couple of days.
Yeah, pufferfish was already a menace before the patch, and I kind of expected him to be like nuked into the ground, and now he's better because you can give him more poison with the monster loot. So, and not to mention bio lizard and similar items
It's
also have the
called
same
Monitor
exact issue.
Lizard, but yes.
Our monitor lizard, yeah.
Yeah. It's simply a puffer. To be fair, Monitor Lizard is just old pufferfish, and new pufferfish is, well, new. But both of these cards are extremely strong right now in the meta. Well, as you can get the extract level up reward, which grants you 2 poison monster loot, and after day 6 they are gold, I think, or after day 7. So getting +6 poison on level up can result in a really juicy pufferfish or really thick lizard. I've seen on Reddit today someone posted a pufferfish which was almost 200 poison. And since you can assemble an easy engine, because jellyfish is jellyfish hasn't been nerfed that much, it's mostly the same as it was. And then whenever you haste, you charge your pufferfish, so if you have any ability to lower its cooldown, it's going to trigger possibly even faster than it was triggering previously.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that I think most of the balancing stuff in terms of individual cards it seems good to me. I can't really, point to one thing or another, but it feels like things are more generally balanced aside from the things that aren't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, cards on them by themselves feel all right. I think that going this charging route instead of when something happens was a correct decision. However, level up reward revamp was sort of brushed off in the patch notes, so nobody actually expected that this much can happen in that regard. Because we're all expecting that, yeah, we're going to have the same level up rewards, which gave you small increments of power, and you could get a bit of gold, maybe a bit of XP, maybe you could get +10 or +15 to one of your weapons or something like that, which it wasn't that significant, but it if played correctly, it could actually give you an edge over your opponent. But right now, those level up rewards are sometimes even stronger than getting a tier up on your item, which I think is the wrong way to go. 2 weeks before, the meta was all about getting more experience because level up rewards were so strong. Then we had 1 week of respite where actually playing the game and not just, I don't know what's the word, scrounging for XP. Is that a word? I think I've heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Scrounging.
Yeah,
You're
right.
searching, you're finding, you're looking. Yeah.
Exactly. So scrounging for XP wasn't that important, and you could actually focus on improving your board. And now we're back to square one, where all you need to do is click every XP option, click every poison level up reward, and you're golden.
Well, you can tell like they want leveling up to be super impactful, like more impactful than it was in the very like original, I guess, like patch of the game before they when they first launched it. And but every time they try to make it more impactful, it becomes like the only thing you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to fix that. And then they this time they even tried to make it harder to level up. Like there's less options now.
Yeah.
Deborah is gone, and
I mean, she
the
was
level up.
gone in the previous patch. Right now, they
Yeah,
just reduced the XP rewards. Like, if something gave 2 XP in the previous patch, right now it's usually 1 XP. So it's mostly halved.
and they said I think they said too they rebalanced the monsters, but I don't know if that was down. I assume it was some of them give less XP now, but I haven't actually like looked at every monster. So
Not 100% sure. Probably a couple of the monsters have updated loadouts. The first couple of games, I felt like I was really weak and the PvE monsters were actually beating me. But now, when I sort of adapted to how the game plays, I went back to almost always choosing the harder option.
my first experience goes to the new because they changed it. So now you don't get a skill
Hmm.
and you get a choice between 4 items instead of 3, except for Dooley, who still only gets the 3 cores. But I've been playing, I started with Vanessa and I got a trebuchet on my start, which is, a large item. So it was a little crazy. So I felt pretty strong my very first match I ever played. I feel like there was maybe a problem with the opening because it seems like it's any silver item that the character has. And some of those are entirely useless and some of those are super good on day one. So I don't know. I think maybe going back to a more curated pool would be better.
Yeah, I suppose that they overcorrected to some extent. Like, having 4 items at the start is fun. It's easier to actually choose something that you like whenever you have 4 items to choose from, not 3. But that's not a giant upgrade, but I think, as you said, they expanded the starting pool to probably all the items, but no, I cannot confirm that. But I think they need to meet both ideas somewhere in the middle, in the sense that maybe they can give us like 4 items at the start, but something like a bronze skill on top of that would be also cool. And I think that they need to sort of put skills into some sort of drawers or buckets or whatever you want to call them, to simply have some sort of diversity in those skills. I think we mentioned that in one of the previous episodes, that probability of encountering the same thing over and over needs to be reduced. Sometimes you can either get a streak of like 3 gambles in a row, so you're like, one time you can get them, but 2 more times is probably not worth it. Or sometimes you can get like skill vendor into skill vendor into skill vendor into skill vendor, which right now you have economy in shambles. So right, everybody is rolling in gold, so having skill vendors over and over increases your power level much quicker. Luck plays a much significant role in this patch than it did in previous one, I think.
I would agree. How do you feel, I guess, just overall about the uh the lack of rerolls, I guess, in this patch? Because certain, you know, th- it, I'm not exactly sure who doesn't have a reroll, but like Polo, for example, doesn't have his reroll anymore,
You know what?
for pretty obvious reasons. But
I think JJ has rerolls, and Andy has rerolls, Quixel and Barkun, and this lady that sells medium items. I think those are the merchants that have rerolls, but I can be wrong. And all the rest, I think, doesn't have rerolls. And on one hand, that's fine because, it's harder to force builds. But on the other, it's much harder to find upgrades to your items. Another layer on top of that, there is no help like behind the scenes where like whenever you go to a merchant, maybe like one slot could have like increased odds of presenting you with an item that you already have, just to be able to upgrade your item, and so somehow feel like going to merchants isn't complete gamble. If you go to a merchant, you see nothing useful, then you go to a merchant, see nothing useful, go to a merchant, see nothing useful, and now you're facing your opponent for the top of the day. You've just wasted half of your round doing nothing. But in essence, I suppose it's okay. I think I would leave it like this right now, as in with reduced rerolls. But maybe in the future they could add a skill that allows for rerolls in those merchants that do not usually allow you for rerolling, but maybe for a higher price, something like this.
Yeah, I actually really like that idea. Or you could do something where you like make rerolls more expensive, so it's there, but it's harder. Like it's a bigger risk. But I thought I was gonna love the no rerolls on the large items and stuff, but I just end up never going to merchants, and so it's kind of defeating the purpose. I feel like of what the game is supposed to be. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is.
This issue is sort of combined with economy issue because it is so easy to make money right now. Many options just grant you money, and especially getting those monster loot rewards on level up, like this, on top of granting you a lot of stats, it also grants you money because you are selling those monster loot items. So you're, as I said, you're rolling in gold at some point. Like after day 3 or 4, you are not really worrying about your economy at all. If you cannot reroll, there's less opportunities to spend that gold. And if merchants do not offer items that you want, that you have on your board, then it's even less opportunities to spend that gold. So you acquire more and more and more, and you're just Scrooge McDuck looking at your vast fortune, and what's the point, right? So this, like, probably not allowing to reroll could be fine, but my idea of having one slot with higher percent chance of offering the item that you already have on the board, if it's with the same subtype, if it's of the same subtype, I think would be good compromise.
I think that would be a lot better.
Yes.
So you have a reason. You have a legit reason to actually go instead of just buy chocolate bars for the 15th time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should talk about the cosmetic sort of side of things, since that's a pretty big positive, I guess, from this update.
Yeah.
Mostly.
So I think those things that we just covered are the main offenders of the new patch, like poison buffs, monster loot on level up, and economy, well, getting to a really strange place. I think that those things you would agree on, right?
100%.
Yeah, but there are positives, and I think we need to voice them. So if you have a example, you may start.
Yeah, I think the biggest, as soon as you clicked on the update and get into the run, the first thing you notice is that all of the like merchant borders and everything are entirely different. They have a little kind of banner coming out from under them for not just merchants, but for any
all
sort
events.
All events. And I think it looks really good. And I think the overall polish on just like the animations and voice lines and stuff seems like a huge step up, which I'm shocked it could even go up that much, but it feels like night and day from the last patch for me.
Well, yeah, they definitely improved the overall UI and the looks of the game. I mean, as I said to you previously, I like the ribbon at the bottom of the merchant or whatever, or the event sort of miniature or art, whatever you want to call it, because it added a little bit of flair. But I agree that borders I'm not sure exactly. I cannot put my finger on it what exactly changed, but they do feel higher quality. Maybe there's some sort of glow added to them. Not 100% sure.
There is something like that. And if you look at like I'm sure you probably noticed like the mythic or legend borders and diamond borders, they have some weird like effects on them now that look really slick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can agree on that. And also, there are new art, like, for example, Chili Charles has a new art. Sergeant Sads has a new art. This cybersecurity guy has new art, which is really fun. I'm not sure if you have seen it.
no, I haven't seen his yet.
Yeah, so this cyber security guy, like looking at some sort of list that's going off of his arm, and there's this giant red X, which means that the guy which is trying to get into a club, like, is all sweaty and, well, why am I not on the list? I don't know, it just makes me laugh. And also there are voice lines for merchants and skill vendors that weren't there, or at least I haven't noticed them.
There are a lot of I feel like every time I jump into a run, I notice a new like art or new voice line somewhere, or like there's extra music now. I think you mentioned before.
Yes.
At the end of the run, it's kind of like weird little like guitar sounding sort of thing. That's really cool. So yeah, I think this game, even in this last patch, went from like feeling more indie to feeling more AAA. Not AAA necessarily, but just feeling more legit, which is a big deal, especially when the normies flood in on open beta here in like a month.
I mean, to be fair, I think before they open the gates, they want to remove all of the gray, like, sketch art, that type of deal. Like, they actually need to finish the game. Right now, we are focusing on the game loop part of the game, like with all the updates and whatnot. But I think with every coming week we're going to get a little bit more. Like, for example, we have Car Conductor, which wasn't available regularly, when going to the fight hour, sort of this bottom hour of the day, and now you can actually encounter it and not have to go through Mountain Pass. There's more opportunities to get stealth items through that, for example. Also, another new event is Monster Ranch, which is another sort of offender of being extremely powerful, because for 8 gold, like, let me brush up a picture. Like, for 0 gold you can get 2 bronze monster loot items, for 4 gold you can get 2 silver loot items, and for 8 gold you can get 2 gold loot items. And usually when you get one of those options, you are going to get more out of that than you paid. So essentially, if you have 8 gold, you should always choose that option, because you're going to, first of all, get more stats, and second of all, get more gold. So it's like printing your own money.
Yeah, as soon as I noticed that, I was like, this has to be bugged, right? Like, why would you ever not, like, unless you just don't have the money, why would you ever not pay the 8 gold? I feel like the monster loot should be like, at least in this patch, should be like not sellable for money.
Yeah, I think so. Like, if they want to keep the abundance of monster loot, then they shouldn't be so, no pricey, in the sense that they shouldn't grant you so much money, because that's value on top of value.
Monster Ranch picture is hilarious. I don't know if you've looked at it in depth.
all the guys are there, like the Gorgon and the Banana Ball and Chili Charles, I think there's there too.
I can't remember all of them, but it is quite a few of the monsters you've been fighting.
Yeah, it's like a pool party of monsters.
I really love that.
I suppose one last thing from me that I don't know, I cannot get used to it for the life of me. What do you think about new font, or at least the shadow on the font?
Like, that's the only cosmetic thing that was really bothering me when I started the game up after the patch. It's grown on me a little bit, but I don't really like it. I still prefer the other.
Yes, it seems forced. Like, for example, when you look at the descriptions of items, this shadow of the numbers usually covers like the dot at the end of the sentence or a part of something else. Like, it feels like either a mistake that they didn't realize that was there and maybe just simply didn't care for repairing, or maybe like they actually thought that this looked good but didn't bother spacing the those graphics appropriately. No idea, but it feels like 2005 Microsoft Word clip art or something. Like, it's not my vibe, not at all.
Yeah, I think their goal must have been to just try to differentiate the numbers and words from like the background, and that's the only way they could figure out how to do it like quickly. I don't know, because maybe there does need to be like some differentiation there. Maybe stuff can blend in, but I wasn't having a particularly hard time reading stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, after a couple of games, like, my main concern before the game came out was the visual clutter and the number of stuff happening on the screen. And I actually came around to it, and I think that after you play enough games, you sort of get used to the Christmas lights on the screen and the number of numbers on your health bar. Like, I guess it's a bit over the top, but still it's legible enough. But maybe they could like go halfway and reduce the shadows a bit, but they could be expanded a little more than they were in the previous patch. Maybe something like that. If they want to give each number like its sort of color identity. I suppose those shadows could be alright if they were reduced, but one thing that bothers me is shielding for some reason has like this dark blue shadow, which for me doesn't suit it at all.
I didn't notice that specifically, but also I kind of tried not to look at it after I noticed it because it was kind of bothering me. I was gonna say just about the patch in general, I guess, is this is definitely another let's try something very different patch. You know, like we've talked about the last one, especially that they're feels like they're trying like weird things just while they can. Um, I think the next patch is going to be very telling
Mm-hmm.
about where the game's headed, because it's probably time to like not do that again. So to kind of hone in on some of the stuff that's working and get rid of the stuff that's not.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad that they are not afraid to, actually rework the game and change stuff that needs to be changed. But I think they changed too many things at once. Instead of, slowly getting at the proper balancing, they, scrapped the whole thing and just started anew. So we now have essentially like a new game. It feels completely different, and maybe like first reintroducing the items that were unavailable in the previous patch, so we can get used to them first, then maybe trying new level up rewards. So whenever they dumped all of this on us at once, it's overwhelming. If one thing is for some reason offending a player, they might associate that one thing with the whole patch. Where, as we have pointed out, there are good things about this patch, but some changes were misguided. Like, for example, letting players get feathers for 1 hour at the start of the patch. Like, you might not even notice that there was something like this, but for first hour of the patch, one of the monster loot drops on level up rewards were feathers, which reduced the cooldowns of your whole board. So if you, instead of choosing poison every time, you were choosing cooldown reductions every time. So essentially your whole board was around 2 or 3 second cooldown. Everything just went off immediately. I would not recommend that.
That was insane when I saw that they disabled that, because I hadn't got on and done it, but that was insane to see that they had that, because I was like, every level up reward would be I would choose feathers, and then I would just hold them until I had my board, and then just reduce the whole board to like nothing.
And if you had
So
knee brace with you, then it would be even stronger. So yeah, I'm not even sure what to say anymore, you know? Like, I guess we have to deal with this patch for at least a week until they find their footing, but get used to getting puffered to death. That's my opinion.
I know exactly what to say. Tempo, delete pufferfish from the game. And the lizard too. I can't, dude, every run ends to one of those things. Every single run ends to one of those things, and I don't want to play that, you know?
Yeah, I suppose maybe reverting the level up rewards to what they were previous patch, but leaving the cards or items as they are right now. Maybe combination of those two things would be nice. But well, as this is going to be, posted on Monday, the Q&A is going to already happen. So maybe Reynard will have some insight for us.
He's got some balls for doing the Q&A after this patch, I feel like.
Because they weren't really transparent with the community since the beta launch. Like, everything that we've learned was after the fact, right? I mean, besides patch notes, but still, like, patch notes, we thought at least that they were detailed, and then the most egregious parts were left out. So what do we know?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice.
Yeah, right. If you may, you know where the comments are, so please let us know what are the main offenders of this patch for you. And of course, you may actually add some small part at the end of things that you like, because I'm sure the ratio isn't going to be favorable. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to us rant, sort of. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. And I suppose we'll see you soon.
See you on my channel on Thursday.
Exactly. Bye.
See ya.